Chad Miller's voice thundered up from the basement, jolting her out of her quiet afternoon coffee. "Get down here, now." Laura set her mug in the sink, brow creasing. Had something fallen? Was there a leak? As she descended the creaky wooden stairs, the single bare bulb glared down, forcing her to squint. Her husband stood in the far corner amid half-opened boxes and scattered papers. In his hand, he clutched a small book with a faded lavender cover. "That better not be my old diary," she said, forcing a laugh she didn't feel. She wasn't overly worried. Those diaries were decades old. She hadn't cracked one open in years and had honestly forgotten most of them existed. But something in Chad's rigid posture made the hair on her arms rise. He turned slowly. His face wasn't just angry. It was shattered, disbelief laced with pure disgust. "Yeah, Laura," he said, voice low and icy, sending chills down her spine. "Your diary. The one where you apparently kept some very detailed records." She swallowed hard. "Chad, come on. You know I wrote all kinds of silly nonsense when I was young. It's probably nothing." She reached out, hoping he'd just hand it over. Instead, he gripped it tighter. "I'm not sure it's nothing. Because what I just read..." His nostrils flared. "My God, Laura. You've destroyed me." Her heartbeat hammered in her ears. "What do you mean?" He flipped open the diary to a page he'd dog-eared, and in a voice trembling with rage, he read aloud. "I wish Chad would agree to marry me sooner, but I'm so tired of waiting. Jake is so much more fun, and oh, that thing Jake did with his..." Chad stopped, exhaling sharply, then turned the page. "Wait, there's more. And it's not just Jake." Laura's stomach plummeted. Something told her this was far worse than the single old fling she'd mentally buried. She dimly remembered scribbling fantasies in that diary, some real, some exaggerated. She'd been young, insecure, reckless. Writing it down had felt like a twisted thrill at the time. "Chad," she started, forcing lightness into her tone. "This was 30 years ago. Why does it even..." "Stop talking," he shouted, veins bulging in his neck. "I'm not finished." With shaking hands, he flipped through pages, reading random passages in a voice barely under control. "I can't stop thinking about the way Grant pinned me against the wall last night, how his fingers felt on my skin. Chad's away again, and I'm so lonely. Maybe I'll let Grant come over this weekend too. Oh, wow. I never thought I'd be the type to be with more than one man in a single day. But here I am. First with Evan in the morning, then meeting Ryan that evening. The rush is indescribable. I sometimes wonder if I'm doing the right thing. But I'm not hurting anyone, right? Chad doesn't need to know. I'm sure once we're married, I'll settle down." Each excerpt stabbed deeper. Laura pressed a trembling hand to her mouth. She'd forgotten these diaries held far more than one fling. She'd chronicled an entire string of betrayals, stolen kisses, full-blown affairs, multiple men. And then there were the explicit fantasies. "Chad," she whispered, tears stinging her eyes. That was 30 years ago. None of it matters anymore. He glared, then slammed the diary shut. "Matters? You think reading how my own wife bragged about sleeping with one guy after another doesn't matter?" He brandished the book at her, hand shaking. She took a step back, fear shifting into defensive defiance. She never wanted him to see her vulnerable again. "I'm not that person anymore. I was young and stupid." "Were you?" he snapped. "Because you wrote about things you did while we were already engaged." "Oh, come on, Chad," she scoffed, crossing her arms. "Stop acting like this is some fresh betrayal. It's older than our entire marriage. I haven't seen those men in decades. I had the right to know what I was marrying into. He roared, voice bouncing off the basement walls. Instead, I was tricked into thinking you were just nervous about me heading off to grad school in Cincinnati, while the second I turned my back, you were sleeping around. It was only a few times, she hissed. But the moment the words left her mouth, she remembered it was far more than a few. Chad fixed her with an icy stare. You said a few times. Try reading your own words, Laura. There are pages about you meeting guy after guy, like some out-of-control spiral, and the details. He looked physically ill. Laura's face hardened. Look, it's done. You can't change the past. His laugh was hollow. Oh, that's your defense? That it doesn't count because it was a long time ago. She shrugged, forcing nonchalance even as panic churned inside. People do stupid things in their 20s. Move on. Chad opened another box, rummaging through old photos. And you kept these too? I'm starting to wonder if you enjoyed reliving every filthy detail. She recognized the box instantly. Old Polaroids and mementos she should have burned decades ago. He pulled out a photograph. Laura's heart nearly stopped. Who? Chad said slowly. Are these men? His eyes flicked between the picture and his wife. The photo showed Laura on a couch, half-dressed in a tight tank top, leaning into a group of 5 guys. Each wore a cocky grin, an arm slung around her. One flexed a bicep. Another made a crude gesture toward her backside. Worst of all was Laura's own expression. She looked exhilarated. Oh, please, Chad. She tried to brush it off. That's from some random party. It's nothing. But there was no denying the intimacy. Her hair was tousled in a way that screamed wild night. Scrawled across the bottom in black marker, best night ever. Chad's eyes glistened with unshed tears. Why did you save this? His voice was hushed, teetering, between heartbreak and fury. Why hold on to any memory of that kind of violation of our trust? She shrugged again, the gesture coming off weak and twitchy. I forgot I even had it. He let the photo fall like it burned him. Get out, Laura. She stared. I said get out. Laura stormed upstairs, tears in her eyes, but her face twisted into a rebellious scowl. This is so stupid, she muttered. It was insane that after decades of a good marriage, Chad was ready to throw it all away over ancient history. Why did he have to go digging in the basement anyway? Chad emerged minutes later, carrying the open diary and a handful of photographs. You're going to your parents, he said flatly. His calm was more terrifying than the yelling. You can't just banish me. I live here too. Not anymore. Not until I figure out what to do with all of this. He gestured to the diary. Do you realize how humiliating this is? For 30 years, I've believed in a marriage that might have been a lie from day one. She rolled her eyes. My God, Chad. If it was a lie, then why did we have such a good life? He trembled, each breath ragged. Was it a good life, Laura? Or did you just get tired of cheating and decide I was the safe choice? This is exactly what I'm talking about, she snapped. You're blowing everything out of proportion. So I had a wild phase when I was younger. Big deal. People change. Chad's lips thinned. Pack your things, or I'll pack them for you. Laura wanted to keep fighting, but the look in his eyes told her he was deadly serious. Reluctantly, she headed to their bedroom. While shoving clothes into a suitcase, she heard him pacing outside the door. Just before zipping the bag, she spotted a family photo on the nightstand. Chad, their daughter Emily, their son Ryan, and her, all laughing in matching Christmas sweaters, looking perfect. She clutched the frame, closed her eyes, and whispered, "He'll calm down. He has to." In the driveway, Chad stood at the front door, expression like stone. She hauled her suitcase to the car, head high. Before climbing in, she glared at him. "This is ridiculous, and you'll regret it." He swallowed, but said nothing. As she drove away, she glanced in the rearview mirror. He hadn't moved, the diary still clutched in his hand. In that moment, she hated him almost as much as she hated herself. Word travels fast in a town of 3,600. By the time Laura reached her parents' house in the quiet suburb outside Columbus, her phone was exploding with messages from friends. "He's telling everyone at the bar what he read." One text from her close friend Karen read, "Are you okay?" Laura cursed. So Chad wasn't just wounded. He was airing their dirty laundry publicly. Her parents, both in their early 80s, adored Chad like a son. They looked pale and confused as Laura explained through gritted teeth that Chad had found old diaries and was overreacting to some stuff from before we were married. She left out the specifics. No mention of multiple men, no mention that some overlapped with their engagement, and certainly no mention of the photo with 5 guys. "But sweetheart," her mother said, brow furrowed, "if it was before you were married, why is he so angry?" "It's complicated," Laura muttered. Meanwhile, Chad was on a video call with both their adult children, telling them everything. Within hours, Emily was blowing up her phone. "How could you do that to Dad?" her daughter demanded, voice shaking with anger and betrayal. "Cheating on him with who knows how many men? That's disgusting." Laura bristled. "Watch your tone with me, young lady." "Oh, so now you're pulling the stern mom card? You can't hide behind that anymore, not after what you did. Dad showed us those diary pages. He scanned them. You wrote about sleeping with 5 men in the same week while you were engaged to him." Laura's grip tightened on the phone. "It wasn't... it's out of context, and it was decades ago." Emily's breath hissed through the line. "You lied to him. You lied to us. God, Mom, I always looked up to you. Right now I'm disgusted." Then the line went dead. A few days later, Laura tried to repair things with the kids, especially Emily, who was barely speaking to her. Then the final bomb dropped. One afternoon, Emily called, voice eerily calm. "Mom, I sent off for a DNA test." Laura froze. Memories from the diaries flashing. Multiple men around the time she and Chad got engaged. The timeline dangerously close to conceiving Emily. She'd always told herself it had to be Chad's. "What are you talking about?" she asked, throat dry. "A simple ancestry test. I've been meaning to do it for genealogy. But you know what else it shows, right?" Laura bit her lip. "Honey, you're being irrational. Those tests aren't always accurate." Emily's voice hardened. "They're accurate enough. Dad agreed to do one too. We'll see if we match." Laura closed her eyes, world spinning. "All right," she whispered. "Go ahead." The wait for results was torture. Laura prayed she was just paranoid, that Chad was the biological father. Because if he wasn't... The results came one afternoon while she was still at her parents'. Her phone buzzed. Emily's name. She answered. "Mom?" came the shaking voice. "It says I'm not Dad's daughter." Laura's heart shattered. For a moment, she couldn't speak. "Oh my God, it's true. How could you, Mom?" Emily's voice pitched into hysteria. "My entire life is a lie. Dad isn't my dad. All this time, did you know?" Laura let out a choked sob. I suspected, but I wasn't sure. I thought I was overthinking. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." She heard Emily crying. "Dad's packing. He's moving. I don't even know where." He says he can't stay in this town anymore. He wants to relocate near his parents in Sarasota. You have to fix this." "How am I supposed to fix this?" Laura cried, dizzy. "Your father, everything you know about him is real. He loves you. But he's not my biological father. This changes everything." Then the line went dead again. Laura drove back to the house she and Chad once shared, a storm of defiance, humiliation, and terror swirling inside her. When she walked in, Chad was in the living room, eyes red from anger or tears or both. "You have nerves showing up here," he said quietly. She tossed her hair back defensively. "I need my things." His bitter laugh echoed. "Yeah? Well, you might want to take all your things, because I'm moving. Officially." She froze. "What about us?" "There is no us, Laura. You lied. You cheated before we got married. You carried on like—" He couldn't finish. "And now we learn Emily isn't even biologically mine." Conflicting emotions twisted in Laura's gut. She wanted to fight, to say it was all so long ago it shouldn't matter. But the DNA test had obliterated Chad's last illusion. "Chad," she managed, swallowing hard. "I was young. I didn't know who the father was. I loved you. That's why I married you instead of running off with those other guys. You raised Emily. That counts for something." His eyes blazed. "Counts for something? Jesus, Laura, you let me believe she was mine. I read her bedtime stories. I taught her to ride a bike. I paid her college tuition. And you never had the decency to tell me there was even a chance I wasn't her father." She took a step toward him, arms out. "I was protecting you. And her. She sees you as her dad." Chad shook his head. "Protecting me?" Bitterness dripped from every word. "That's rich. You decided for me that I shouldn't know she might not be mine. Congratulations. You played God with my life." She tried to touch him. He recoiled. Don't even try. The only reason you came back is probably to beg for pity or salvage your reputation." His eyes raked over her with contempt. "Arrogant. Selfish. That's what you are." Her anger flared. "Oh, I'm arrogant. You're the one telling the whole town, humiliating me." "Good," he snapped, voice rising. "You deserve humiliation for the lies, for turning our life into a joke." Laura clenched her fists. "Well, guess what, Chad? You're not exactly a saint, airing our dirty laundry all over town. You think you're so high and mighty." He looked ready to explode, then forced a slow exhale. With chilling calm, he said, "Leave. Now." She hesitated. He pointed to the door. "Leave, or I'll call the police and say you're trespassing." Her mouth twitched. She knew he wasn't bluffing. She turned on her heel and stormed out, slamming the door behind her. The second she was in her car, she broke down sobbing. "Why are you crying?" she asked herself. "You did this. You did all of it." In a town of only 3,600 souls, the scandal was everywhere. Every diner, every grocery aisle, every coffee shop. People whispered when she picked up groceries for her parents. Some gave pitying looks, others glared in disgust. "Did you hear about Laura Miller? Turns out Emily isn't Chad's. I heard she was sleeping with 5 guys at once back in the day. Supposedly there's a photo so bad my friend's cousin saw it." One day she overheard 2 women in the cereal aisle saying Chad was definitely moving to Florida and that Laura was getting what she deserved. She abandoned her cart and fled. In the parking lot, her phone buzzed. Her mother, frantic. "Laura, get home. Chad's on the phone. He wants to talk to you." She raced back, heart pounding. Maybe he'd calm down. In her parents' living room, the tension was thick. Her mother hovered by the speakerphone, wringing her hands. "Laura," Chad's exhausted voice came through. "I need a favor." She couldn't believe it. A favor? He sighed. I've had enough. I'm leaving for Florida next week. I need you to sign some papers so we can move forward with a separation. Her stomach twisted. A separation? Chad, don't do this. Sign them, he said, ignoring her plea, or I'll file for divorce without negotiation and you'll get nothing. Her parents exchanged horrified glances. Laura pressed her palms to her temples. So that's how you're going to play it? Leave me with nothing after 3 decades? He gave a short, bitter laugh. Actually, you left me with nothing the moment you decided it was fine to cheat and lie about it. Sign the papers, or I'll do this the hard way. Laura bit back a retort, tears burning. Fine. Send them over. Weeks passed with almost no contact. Laura sank deeper into bitterness, ignoring calls from nosy acquaintances. Then she heard, through a reliable source, that Chad had been seen with Sarah, the ex-wife of Jake the electrician from her old diaries. The rumor made her seethe with jealousy. How dare he, she muttered, pacing her childhood bedroom at her parents' house. He's doing exactly what I did, only he's flaunting it to make me suffer. In truth, Chad had every right. But the idea of him bonding with Sarah over mutual heartbreak caused by Laura and Jake felt like a final twist of the knife. Her phone buzzed, an unknown number. You reap what you sow. Sarah. Laura's blood boiled. She told herself not to engage, but typed anyway. Leave me alone. You have no business in my marriage. A minute later. It's not your marriage anymore, sweetie. He deserves better. Laura hissed, but forced herself to stop replying. They can have each other, she thought, heart aching. I never realized how fast everything could crumble. On a cold Sunday morning, Laura drove to the house one last time before Chad officially left for Florida. She wanted closure, or to beg him to. Keep some line open. A tiny part of her still hoped he'd realize 30 years outweighed ancient mistakes. The driveway was half full of moving boxes. Chad was supervising a friend loading a rental truck. The second he spotted her car, his face hardened. Why are you here? He asked before she'd even closed the door. The wind whipped his hair, revealing deeper stress lines. Heartbreak, maybe hate. She stepped out, ignoring his friend's curious stare. We need to talk, alone. He stiffened, then nodded curtly. Inside, the living room looked barren. Furniture gone, boxes lining the walls. The couch they'd cuddled on for decades was already in the truck. He crossed his arms. Say what you need to say. She swallowed. Chad, please. I know I messed up, horribly, and I'm sorry. But we've had 30 years of marriage. That has to count for something. I made awful choices when I was younger, but I've been faithful ever since. You know that. He snorted. Actually, I don't know that. Considering how expertly you hid this side of yourself. She took a step closer. Look, Emily might not be your biological child, but you're the only father she's ever known. She loves you, and so do I. A muscle twitched in his jaw. You should have thought about that before lying to me for 3 decades. Laura's voice cracked. It was a mistake. I'm not that person anymore. Don't throw away everything we built. Chad stared for a long moment, then shook his head. A few months ago, I might have listened. But after those diaries... They're old, she interrupted, tears brimming. Stop acting like you cheated yesterday, he shouted. It doesn't matter if it was 30 years or 30 seconds. You let me believe I was marrying someone honest, loyal, pure. All that time you had this horde of skeletons. Grant, Evan, Ryan, and God knows who else. And that photo with 5 men, I can't unsee it. Her face twisted in shame, then hardened. You're unbelievable. I can't change the past, Chad. Exactly, he whispered. and I can't change how I feel." Laura's bravado cracked, tears spilled. "So that's it? You're leaving me?" He nodded. "We already divorced in every way that matters. The legal part will catch up. I have no reason to stay in this house, this town, this state. I'm done." She clasped her hands. "Please, at least think about therapy. Maybe we—" "No," he said, finality in the single word. "I won't live wondering if you've done it again. I can't look at you without picturing them." Defeat washed over her. "So you'd rather run off with Sarah?" He raised a brow. "At least Sarah isn't hiding diaries full of secrets. But that's irrelevant. We're finished, Laura." Rage flashed. "You're a hypocrite. If you can't forgive my past—" He cut her off with a bitter laugh. "My God, you still don't get it. This isn't about me seeing anyone. It's about your betrayal, your arrogance, the lies that formed the foundation of our entire marriage. If you can't see the difference, there's nothing left to say." Silence crackled between them. Then Chad's friend poked his head in. "Hey man, sorry. The truck's packed. We should roll." Chad nodded, grabbed his coat from the floor, and walked out without another word. Days turned to weeks. Chad moved to the Sarasota area. Emily relocated to Charlotte for a new job. Ryan stayed in Columbus, but went no contact. Laura remained alone in her parents' house, in the same small childhood bedroom, now haunted by regret. She spent nights scrolling old photos, barbecues, birthdays, anniversaries, pausing on every image of her and Chad smiling. If only she'd destroyed those diaries, if only she'd never written them. Her phone rang sporadically, old friends fishing for gossip. She ignored them all, because no matter how she tried to justify it, the truth was undeniable. She had caused this. One desperate night, she texted Emily, "I'm so sorry, honey. I love you. I hope someday you can forgive me. Let me know how the new apartment is." No response. She left Ryan a tearful voicemail. "Please call me back. I know you're hurting, but I'm hurting too. I love you both more than anything." Nothing. One chilly evening, her father found her sitting in the dark living room, staring at nothing. "Laura," he began softly, "I know this is hard, but maybe you should try talking to your kids in person." She nodded, tears pooling. "They won't pick up. I'm a complete pariah now." He sighed and rested a gentle hand on her shoulder. "You have to understand why they're upset, especially Emily. Her whole sense of identity is shattered." "I know," Laura whispered. "It's all my fault. If only I'd told Chad the truth back then." Her father's face was etched with sorrow. "You might have lost Chad, but do what you can not to lose your children. If that means letting them be angry for a while, let them. If it means apologizing a million times, do it. Don't let pride or resentment stand in the way." She buried her face in her hands. "I don't know if they'll ever forgive me." "Maybe not," he said quietly. "But that doesn't mean you stop trying." Months passed. Laura took a part-time job at a boutique downtown, mostly to keep from going stir-crazy. She cooked for her parents, cleaned, distracted herself from the emptiness in her heart. Chad was gone, renting a small place near the water outside Sarasota, building a new life. Rumors said he stayed in touch with Sarah. Some insisted they were just friends, others swore they were together. Laura tried not to care, but the thought gnawed at her soul. Her kids remained distant. The only contact from Emily was curt texts about paperwork or taxes. Ryan never replied at all. Some nights Laura lay awake replaying every moment, the group photo, bragging in her diary about multiple men while Chad was away, discovering she was pregnant, yet never questioning the timeline. It had been so easy back then to dismiss it as the past. Now she understood. Some pasts never stay buried. They lurk in boxes, diaries, old photos, silent landmines waiting to explode a lifetime later. As she drifted into restless sleep on the narrow twin bed of her childhood room, she heard the echo of Chad's voice. "You built our marriage on lies." And maybe, she thought bitterly, he was right. In her dreams, she saw the way he used to look at her, with love and trust. The inside jokes, the drives to Emily's soccer practice. She'd wake with fresh tears on her pillow, heartbreak raw every morning. Life went on, fragmented, lonely, and heavy with regrets she would replay forever. That moment in the basement, Chad holding the diary, reading words she'd once thought harmless, had shattered the illusion of their perfect marriage beyond repair, and there was no way to rewrite that story.